I saw T.I. talking about how he didn't want you, he basically didn't want you jumping into beef, so to speak, right?
Listen to this. A 24-year-old just walked right into one of the messiest beefs happening in hip-hop right now. He dropped a track without even telling his own father first. And ever since then, 50 Cent has gone completely silent while the internet loses its mind. But the real question everybody's asking is this: what exactly did Domani Harris say on that record that shook the entire timeline? Because someone, with a son, just stepped directly into a war between grown men. To really understand why Domani Harris releasing a diss track turned into one of the biggest hip-hop moments of the year, you've got to understand how the situation even reached this point. This drama didn't start with a random lyrical jab out of nowhere. It actually traces back to a versus battle that never happened, and a level of disrespect the Harris family clearly wasn't willing to ignore. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. has been simmering for nearly 2 decades. It's been fueled by competitive jabs in interviews, accusations about snitching, and that type of quiet rap industry hostility that can stay buried for years before exploding again. The latest chapter kicked off in February 2026, when T.I. appeared on the Nightcap podcast and openly said he had completely lost respect for 50 Cent. According to T.I., the two had already agreed privately to do a versus battle celebrating their catalogs, but when the time came to actually make it happen, he claims 50 backed out.
Beef or something, man?
Me and 50 cool. I'm the only one who's not offended by his brass approach, and he's not offended by mine.
50 Cent responded the way he usually does, and that's not with a record or a direct lyrical reply, but with trolling on social media. Instead of jumping in the booth, he posted an unflattering photo of Tamika Tiny Harris on Instagram and started clowning her appearance. And listen, that single post completely shifted the energy of what had mostly been a typical rap back and forth. Because once you start going at someone's wife and putting her out there for the entire internet to laugh at, that's a different level of disrespect. And that right there is what really set the Harris family off. T.I. fired back the way rappers traditionally do, through music. He dropped several diss tracks, including War and The Right One, where he directly called out 50 by name, and even brought up the history of conflicts 50 has had with other rappers like Rick Ross, Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and Cameron. But things didn't stop there. His older son, King Harris, took it even further by jumping on Instagram and making extremely personal comments. He even mentioned 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, which instantly pushed the drama into even more uncomfortable territory. And then King doubled down by releasing his own diss track called Sus while wearing a shirt featuring her photo. That's when another voice from the family entered the situation. Then Domani Harris stepped in.
Yeah, I saw T.I. talking about how he didn't want you, he basically didn't want you jumping into beef, so to speak, right?
And King as well.
Yes, and King as well, and talking about 50's mom.
Nah, we didn't really have a conversation.
Domani Harris is only 24 years old, and up until now, he's been quietly carving out his own lane in independent hip-hop. His style leans more toward thoughtful, introspective music, the kind that doesn't always explode online overnight, but makes real rap fans stop and pay attention. His 2023 project, The Process, already showed that he had serious lyrical ability, and the listeners who had been following his journey knew he was the real deal. The rest of the world just hadn't caught up yet. But all of that was about to change overnight. On February 26, 2026, Domani released a track called Miss Jackson independently. No major label, no rollout, and without even giving his father, T.I., a heads up beforehand. In fact, T.I. reportedly discovered the song the same way the rest of the internet did, by seeing it circulating online. And that's when the record that broke the internet started spreading everywhere. What made Miss Jackson stand out from everything else connected to this beef wasn't just the boldness of dropping it. It was how carefully crafted the entire song felt. While King Harris had been firing shots at 50 Cent mostly from raw emotion, Domani approached it like a chess move. Every line sounded intentional, like he sat down and mapped the whole record out bar by bar. There's not even a single curse word in the song. Instead, it's filled with layered references and a clear concept that listeners understood the second they hit play. And once they did, they couldn't stop replaying it. The track samples the classic 2000 hit Miss Jackson by Outkast and flips the meaning in a completely different direction. The original song was about apologizing to a mother after a relationship falls apart, but Domani twists that emotional idea into something much darker. He frames the entire song as a direct letter to 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who died in a suspicious house fire in 1983 when 50 was only 8 years old. Even the cover art was symbolic, a burning house, which made it clear none of this was random. The lyrics revolve around 21 pointed questions aimed straight at 50 Cent's character, which itself is a clever nod to his 2003 hit 21 Questions. Each question digs deeper into what Domani portrays as a pattern of attacking women and building notoriety off other people's struggles. Early in the song, he even asks whether 50's mother would be proud of the man her son became, and from there, the lines only get sharper. The bars that shocked people the most included a moment where he raps about sending 50 to reunite with his mother, a line that instantly set social media on fire. He also refers to 50 as a firebug, not in a flattering way, but as someone who allegedly burns things down when life doesn't go their way. Many listeners interpreted that as a reference to the long-discussed 2008 fire at the home of 50's ex-girlfriend Shaniqua Tompkins during a custody dispute. Domani even flips the title of 50's own classic track, Many Men Wish Death, with the line, "Many men sin, but don't profit like you from it," suggesting that 50 built an empire partly by capitalizing on other people's pain. Media outlets quickly picked up the story. XXL described the record as scathing. Online reactions were split right down the middle. Some fans were saying Domani basically wrote 50 Cent's eulogy over an Outkast sample. Others argued that bringing someone's deceased mother into a rap battle crossed a line that shouldn't be touched. Both reactions started spreading at the same time, and that tension is exactly why the record kept going viral. What made the whole story even more fascinating was hearing Domani explain how the record actually came together. He eventually sat down for an interview on The Breakfast Club on March 5th and finally broke down the entire situation.
Somebody told me, like, hey, this is too good. Like, this is too good to not put out. I just do it because this is how I felt. This was on my mind. This is how I expressed myself. And it could just be like that, and it could just stay on the hard drive. I don't even got to hear it again. I just needed to get it out. But he was telling me, like, yeah, you need to put that out. That don't need to just stay on the drive. And I just listened to them, honestly.
He skipped T.I. completely because he already knew his father would have something to say about it.
So you didn't even ask him. You just let it fly.
Because he probably would have told, he probably would have had some input. Then I would have to choose to ignore him or go my own.
By March 9th, the record had already racked up more than 3 million combined streams and views across different platforms. For a 24-year-old releasing music independently with no major label machine pushing it, numbers like that don't just change your week, they can shift your entire career. Now, here's where the story takes a surprising turn. Because if you know 50 Cent, you know he rarely lets things slide. This is the same guy who spent years trolling Ja Rule into near irrelevance, who battled Rick Ross so aggressively it eventually dragged into legal drama, and who built a reputation around never letting anyone get the last word. So when Domani Harris dropped Miss Jackson and the internet exploded with reactions, everyone expected 50 to respond immediately. But instead, he mostly did nothing. He didn't release a diss track back, he threw up a few Instagram posts, deleted them not long after, and then shifted right back into promoting his TV project Power Origins like the whole situation barely existed. The closest he came to addressing it directly was a caption where he suggested that the Harris family actually needed him to rap, not the other way around. After that, things went quiet. During an Instagram Live around February 28th, he looked completely unfazed, spending most of the stream talking about streaming numbers and sales. His message was basically that nobody was really buying or streaming the diss tracks coming from the Harris camp. And honestly, that's classic 50 Cent strategy. He changes what the battle is even about. He refuses to fight on the terms the other side wants, and instead stays calm while the other side keeps escalating. The one real jab he delivered came through a theme record for Power Origins that dropped on March 6th, featuring Leon Thomas. The lyrics never directly said T.I.'s name, but a lot of listeners felt the bars were clearly referencing the harassment and assault allegations that T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris have both publicly denied over the years. He never spelled it out, but the message didn't need to be obvious for fans to connect the dots. Meanwhile, Rick Ross jumped into the mix the way he often does whenever 50's name starts trending. Those two have had their own long-running feud dating back to around 2009, so the tension has always been there. Ross hopped onto Instagram stories encouraging people to stream T.I.'s diss track, the right one, calling it fire. Then he went into the comments under King Harris's diss video, Sus, the one where King was wearing a shirt with a photo of 50's mother, and jokingly asked King to send him one in a 3XL. 50 fired back at Ross with a quick post saying that certain people only bring up his name when they need attention or money. After that, though, he didn't address the shirt directly and let the moment pass. Domani wasn't done either. On March 6th, he released another track titled Pew Y, where he took shots involving 50's ex-partner Daphne Joy and abuse accusations she once made, claims that 50 has firmly denied. By that point, the entire situation had traveled miles away from where it started. What began as two rappers arguing about a potential battle show had turned into something far more personal for everyone involved. Online commentary channels and hip-hop fans were completely divided about how to view it. Some people praised Domani for actually delivering lyrical bars and defending his family with skill, instead of just arguing on social media. Others felt that bringing up 50 Cent's mother, a woman who died when he was still a child, was crossing a line that shouldn't have been touched, no matter who started the fight.
You can't be doing that. You can't be doing. You cannot be doing that.
What nobody can really debate is what this moment did for Domani Harris as an artist. Before February 26th, he was grinding quietly, building his career step by step, while most people outside his core fan base barely knew his name. But after the Miss Jackson record exploded online, everything shifted overnight. Suddenly, he was sitting across from Charlemagne the God on The Breakfast Club, talking about the song that had the whole internet buzzing. His streaming numbers jumped dramatically, and for the first time, a lot of people started discussing him as a serious rapper, not just T.I.'s son. Whether he planned the moment that way or whether it truly came from a place of defending his mother is something only Domani himself can really answer. But the way T.I. reacted when he finally heard the track said a lot about how powerful the moment was. So now, the real question is on the table. Do you think Domani went too far with that record? Or was it just hip-hop doing what hip-hop has always done when beef gets personal? Jump down into the comments and let me know what you think. And before you go, click one of the videos on your screen if you want more breakdowns like this. I'll catch you in the next one.